Thanks for joining the sixth installment of our ongoing webinar series, Beyond the Headlines, the Current and Future Economic Impact of COVID-19. Today's webinar focuses on a critical economic issue for our region, affordable housing. Trying to make sense of critical issues is one of the reasons our center was founded in 1997 as an applied social research branch of FIU, dedicated to inform public policy in the region. Since then, we have grown to become South Florida's leading urban think tank. Our work has 4 pillars: economic development and housing policy, performance management, valuation and survey research, training, and applied economic and demographic research. Decision makers in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors turn to us for thought leadership and policy guidance to improve their organizations and communities. We are evidence-driven and dedicated to enhancing the quality of life in our region. I hope you continue to follow our work on social media to see the depth and breadth of our community engagement. Now let me turn to brief biographies of our presenters. Mr. Kevin Greiner. Kevin Greiner is a development planner, analyst, and policy researcher with over 25 years of experience, leading a wide variety of comprehensive redevelopment and planning projects as a consultant and principal in the public and private sectors. His research at the center focuses on regional economic competitiveness, community development, and best practices. Mr. Greiner received his Master of Urban Planning and Law degrees from the University of Buffalo, State University of New York. Before I turn the virtual mic over to Kevin Greiner, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my colleagues, Ms. Helen Roldan and Ms. Caroline Bernard-Stokes, for arranging the event. With no further ado, Kevin Greiner.
Morning, everyone. I'm going to echo a number of the sentiments, but we're really busy working on not just analytics, but now really making the leap from analytics of what's going on, trying to understand what's going on, and really moving into policy. Contact your county legislator to begin with, state representatives, even Senator Rubio has indicated some real interest in some creative new tax programs to help support affordable housing. Prior to the pandemic, he was talking about actually a luxury tax, which is very interesting for a Republican to be talking about. But at the local level as well, urge your county legislature to keep moving on this and not sit on the sideline and find ways for the county to take leadership. It is hard. The smaller governments in Miami-Dade, it's very difficult. Their finances are going to be very stretched. The county really is the big player. I see the county as really being able to turn the tide if it wants to in Miami-Dade County. Not yet. The numbers prior to the pandemic were worrisome enough, and we haven't factored in the new demand yet. But that's just going to take those numbers, stratospherically higher. There's no getting around the fact that space acreage is shrinking and limited in Miami-Dade County. Even more limited in the city of Miami, which has the highest demand per person. So the higher density is eventually your solution to more affordable, and it's any way you look at it, it's the way that the housing stock is going to have to grow. We don't have the space, we don't have the room. We've got a hard boundary in terms of the Everglades, in terms of spreading suburban style development. So there's no two ways around it. I don't think you can make an either or. Obviously, a vaccine, other solutions are going to be necessary, but high density is a solution here that we can't run away from. Affordability isn't just a low income issue. In Miami-Dade, it goes across the income spectrum. And it's really important at a lot of levels. Most fundamental is making sure that somebody with low income and now no income can afford to stay in a home, can afford in a decent home, and isn't forced out and isn't forced to make a real choice on housing quality, but can afford to stay in a home. It's really important for the broader economy. The more money that we keep in the pockets of families that isn't having to be spent on housing is really good for the entire economy. It ends up creating thousands of jobs, new public revenue, and it actually supports entire industries like construction and retail. It's also really important future looking in terms of supporting our workforce. We're now, and we said it in other presentations, we've been noting this trend for 5 years. Young graduates, young workers are forced to make a real difficult choice between earning more and paying less for housing in another area, even hot places like Austin, Texas. You can earn more money for the same job and pay less for housing versus staying in Miami, earning less and paying more for housing. It's a difficult choice to make, but they're being forced to leave the region for economic reasons. So we're losing a lot of young talent that should otherwise be staying in the region. That's your next generation of entrepreneurs, business owners, and talent that supports the growth of other businesses that they work for. So, I mean, I could go into more, but those are just, I mean, 3 of the top points. Affordable housing, and that's why it's one of our mantras. It's not kind of either or. It's not economic development versus housing. It's not economic development instead of housing. They're one and the same. Housing is economic development. You can't separate the two. Well, and the other reality, and this is what we mean about housing and economy being joined at the hip. The flip side of affordable housing development is we can't build our way out of our affordable housing problem. We can add units. We can add lots of units. Supply alone isn't the answer. It's part of the solution. The other side of the solution is that we need to build an economy with a much higher proportion of higher wage jobs, higher skilled jobs. That really is one of your ultimate solutions to housing affordability is raising incomes. The reason we're more unaffordable than San Francisco is not because housing is more expensive here. It's hugely more expensive in San Francisco, but people earn a lot more there. We were looking at higher prices and lower wages. It's a rather simple math, but that's really part of the policy equation as well and also let's not take our foot off the gas, as I've been saying, on rethinking our economy for higher wage, higher income, higher tech. I don't have a lot of good things to say about Airbnb, especially the state's policy passed in 2010, the Homeowners Bill of Rights. Basically, if municipalities who hadn't prior to 2010 had a standing zoning legislation regarding what are called short-term rentals, anything less than a year, the homeowner's free to do what they want. We're seeing some good, but a lot of bad. Yeah, it's an opportunity for a homeowner to make additional income, which might be valuable, especially in these challenging times. That's if anybody's willing to pay for Airbnbs now. That seems doubtful with tourism taking a hit. But Airbnb has been really disruptive to a lot of neighborhoods. It's actually wiping out the keys. We saw that starting 3 years ago, where people buy a home, they own a home, and next door is basically it's a frat party every week. It can have really disruptive effects on neighborhoods, especially if you can't now localities are restricted from developing protective zoning. Zoning evolved for a really good reason, quiet enjoyment of your home. Could be. Geez, with this level of employment, I can't see how we're not going to have a very serious homelessness, continuing unemployment, evictions, and foreclosure issue. I don't know how much further the federal government can go or is willing to go. We're recommending to our municipal clients is, don't wait. Start developing your own solutions, partner with those private sources that are going to be coming into this market. Start developing whatever, non-cash solutions you can to make it easier for somebody to develop, provide, or stay in an affordable unit. I mean, it's going to take a combination of federal and local sources, but don't wait for the feds to come in. They've already committed a lot. The county actually completed a massive upzoning effort prior to the pandemic, and it was relative to the smart corridors for mass transit development. So there's seven corridors. They're significantly upzoned, up to 225 units per acre. So they already did, and I think that's fortuitous, because now those corridors, you built more value into the land that was already there, just being able to build more units on it. I think the key question is going to be in terms of funding and financing from the county. And I think the case needs to be made that the county's the biggest player in the region. Find a way to start building funds. City of Miami made a massive commitment. It is on hold right now, but made a really massive commitment to affordable housing in its budget. And I think the county, we need to make the case that the county needs to step up with something, at scale with what the City of Miami had done, especially in light of the pandemic now.
This is a continuation of our series on the COVID-19 pandemic and what its impact is on the South Florida community. And with that, thank you to the panel for providing such great information for everyone.